Hey, we are going to get to another episode show number 19. Number 19. One of my favorite songs, too. You remember a song called Number 19? 19? Paul Hardcastle. That was a cool song. When did that song come out? 80s? I know I was in radio at the time. I think I played that when I was at a station called 94Q. Kerry Hegler, my old boss over there at the Q back in the day. Hello to you. 19, Johnny Unitas. What was Johnny wearing, man? When I was a kid, he was wearing these the high top shoes. They kind of had to look to him, maybe half cleat, half combat boot or something like that. The high top tennis shoes, and Johnny Unitas absolutely wore number 19. And I know that Johnny passed away some time ago. He was a long time and old time Baltimore Colt. Sadly for Johnny, he ended his career. I think the last year he played with the San Diego Chargers. Back then, the San Diego Chargers. And what a great quarterback he was. And he kind of came, for you guys that have played semi-pro football, he kind of came out of kind of a semi-pro football. I think the guy was playing in a semi-pro football league when the NFL kind of discovered him. He became one of the all-time greats, Johnny Unitas. That's right. Johnny wore number 19. I'm looking at some stuff right now online. Unitas, number 19. Played for the Baltimore Colts last year. I don't know what number he wore with San Diego. That was kind of a down mark for him, just like Joe Namath going to the Rams the last year of his career in 1977, I think it was for Joe. But number 19, Johnny Unitas. When I think about number 19, I think about Johnny Unitas. And now I think about that song, 19 by Paul Hardcastle. You go listen to that song, and you will know what it's about when you listen to it. Paul Hardcastle, number 19. The song was called 19. 19. I remember playing that song back. It must have come out in the 80s. I'm going to say mid-80s. Paul Hardcastle, number 19. So check that out sometime. That's one of those. I'm not going to say it's an obscure song because it was a hit. But it's you don't hear the song played too often now. Let's see, the song number 19 by British musician Paul Hardcastle was released back in 1985, and it was his first single from a fourth studio album from Paul Hardcastle back in 1985. That's when it came out. I was looking back at the old resume. I was working for a station called 94Q back then. Played it on the radio. Worked for Kerry Hegler, one of my last living favorite bosses. Kerry Hegler. The other guys have sadly passed on. The Godfather of Sports Radio, Jay Solomon. Richard Langlois, who I attended his funeral, which was actually more of a celebration and a lunch. And Richard wanted everybody to tip a glass to him, I should say. So, and I miss those guys. Richard Langlois and Jay Solomon passed away many, many years earlier than that. Kerry Hegler, latest report, is still with us. I messaged with Kerry. Kerry Hegler is a friend of mine on Facebook. I messaged with Kerry. And those are ultimately probably my top 3 bosses of all time. And then again, I've worked for myself. I've been my own boss, for many, many years when I was basically the program director, operations manager in Western Georgia at the radio station there for probably close to almost 20 years or so. So we did terrestrial radio well over 20 years. for radio stations in Jacksonville throughout Northeast Florida. We worked in radio in North Florida, Georgia, particularly Western Georgia, part of Southeast Alabama. So we've been around the media, around sports, music, and what have you. You're listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 19. I think about Johnny Unitas. And let me tell you, I was never a Colts fan, although the Colts had kind of toyed with Jacksonville and talked about moving here to Jacksonville back in 1979. Eventually, the Baltimore Colts did move to Indianapolis, as you know. And that is an episode probably for another show. We've talked about, about the founding of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the franchise finally born back in 1993, right? And then the Jaguars started playing regular season games as well as preseason games back in 1995. One thing we are starting to see, and this is really, I think, a proud moment for Jaguars fans. You're seeing a lot of the Jaguars' current players being re-signed. Unfortunately, due to the salary cap, the Jaguars will never be able to sign them all. We did see something that happened a couple of days back, and we did talk about it on our last podcast about Mr. Olakon, the leading tackler with the Jaguars, not only with the Jaguars, but the leading tackler in the National Football League. Foysaid Alakun is a linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, signed a major contract with the Jags last year. He was part of the 2022 wonderful free agent class that the majority of those players were incredible and came to life and played so well. Christian Kirk, Foysaid Olakon, the 2022 March of 2022 free agent class had to have been one of the best ever in Jacksonville Jaguars history. Olakon not only led the Jaguars in tackles, but led the entire National Football League in tackles. Now you're starting to see some Jaguars being signed, and I bring Olakun's name up because not only was he the leading tackler for the Jaguars and predominantly the leading tackler in the National Football League, but recently, earlier, I guess it was, officially last week or just within the last 2-3 days ago, Foysaid Alakun has restructured his contract, and I think this year he might be getting $1 million less or something, but I think he's restructured over the long haul. Still probably going to get the majority of his money before it's all said and done, I'm sure, but he restructured his deal to allow the Jaguars basically to have, I think, close to $10 million more under the cap. The Jaguars essentially have re-signed, and I think this was a good move. They've re-signed their backup quarterback, C.J. Beathard, who will back up Trevor Lawrence, kind of an insurance policy. I mean, let's face it, C.J. Beathard will never play. We'll never see the field unless there is an injury or Trevor has to take a bathroom break in the locker room or something like that. But C.J. Beathard is signed, I think, for 2 more years. It's an extension for Jaguars backup quarterback C.J. Beathard. He throws a good ball. The deep balls by Beathard are good. He throws a nice pass. He's not Trevor Lawrence, obviously, but he's going to be the experienced backup with the Jacksonville Jaguars going forward. The Jaguars also made a really interesting move when they just this week they re-signed Roy Robertson Harris, who they originally signed, a couple of years back. He's been with the Jaguars, a couple of years now, since Doug Marrone was the head coach, I believe. So he's been with the Jaguars now. I think he's going into his third year with the Jaguars. Roy Robertson Harris really played well going down the stretch. After Dewan Smoot got injured and had a really bad injury, Roy Robertson Harris kind of, you had to kind of take notice, but man, the guy's really, the second half of the season on, and particularly after Smoot got hurt, Roy Robertson Harris really played well on the defensive line. Roy Robertson Harris had, I think he had 1 year left on his contract, but they've extended him. Roy Robertson Harris is locked in. And here we go. Roy Robertson Harris had 1 year remaining on a 3-year, $23.4 million deal. However, now the Jags have extended that. You got to remember, Roy Robertson Harris started all 17 games for the Jaguars in 2022, showed his durability, registered 3 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, a career high 45 tackles, and he added 14. He added 14 tackles. And man, the guy, the Jaguars have also signed backup running back Jermichael Hasty, who had some really significant and good runs during the 2022 season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Jaguars have extended defensive lineman Roy Robertson Harris and Jermichael Hasty 2 extensions. Where does this leave right tackle Juwan Taylor? Sadly, I think you would like to be to keep everybody, but sadly, somehow, some way, you're going to lose some players. It looks like right tackle Juwan Taylor, who really had a good year playing, right next to Brandon Sheriff on the offensive line. It looks like Juwan Taylor may be a victim of the salary cap, whereas he will get a better deal somewhere else. And time will tell if there's any possible way the Jaguars can re-sign him. I'm thinking with the recent signings we've seen, Roy Robertson Harris, Jermichael Hasty being extended, C.J. Beathard being extended, and an Evan Ingram deal, a big deal for Evan Ingram in the works. I'm thinking right tackle Juwan Taylor may be on the way out to another team, and the same thing might be said of Arden Key, but I'm sure they want to keep Arden Key. I'm sure they really want to keep Juwan Taylor too. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here in Jacksonville, Florida. As the extensions are going out, you've got March free agency coming up, and we're sitting here talking to you on the last day of February. I saw an interesting post in our BigJReport.com Facebook group. Interesting. What was the post I saw? Now it's fading in and out of my memory, but I did see an interesting post in the BigJReport.com Facebook group. I see a lot of interesting posts there, about who the Jaguars are going to keep, who they're going to let go. And I've seen several interesting posts. I may just go to the Facebook page and we'll talk about that here on the 19th episode of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We're brought to you by Elegant Time Travel. If you want to go to the Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame trip in June of this year, 2023, June 8th through June the 12th is the tentative plans to head up to Canton, Ohio. Please call Dee Dee McDermott to inquire about the trip, 904. Let's see, his number. Am I going to have to look his number up again? His number is actually on our website, in the homepage of the website. It was pretty good. I was remembering the number. I think it's 442-3810. Let's see how good my memory is. We're going to go down and take a look at where we've got if you look under the Billy Napier picture on the homepage, you got to scroll down a little ways. You find Big Billy Napier Florida Gator head coach. Scroll down a little bit after that, you'll see some old high school football scores. And let's see, Dee McDermott's phone number. Here we go. We're going to the Hall. Right, for the trip going to the Hall, the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Book your trip by contacting Dee McDermott by phone, 904-442-3810. Man, I got the number memorized, 904-442-3810. For elegant time travel, call Dee today. For questions, concerns about the trip, or to book your trip, please call Dee McDermott at 904-442-3810. He's right here in Jacksonville at Elegant Time Travel. I talked to Larry Saucer the other day. I think I was enjoying a pizza, and all of a sudden, let me give Larry a call, see what he's doing. And we talked about real estate and about UF sports. Larry's a big University of Florida Gator fan, like I am as well. But Saucer Realty, that's his business. Saucer Realty and Capital. There's a lot of people moving down to Florida. I was watching one of the national morning shows a few minutes ago. There's people moving down from New York, particularly New York. The folks from New York are moving down to Texas, the Carolinas, Florida. They love North Florida. I'll tell you that for a fact. A lot of New Yorkers moving down here. And I'm a native. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. I was born here. I remember having to go to the hospital a few years back, for a fairly minor medical situation I had. And they asked me, they said, "You ever been here?" I said, "Heck, I was born here over at St. Vincent's Riverside." So, talking about the Jaguars, North Florida Entertainment, and I got to keep these podcasts under 30 minutes now. So what's going to happen when this one ends? We'll do another one. This is episode show number 19. We're talking about Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. Larry Saucer and his staff at Saucer Realty and Capital for your North Florida real estate needs. Again, home, residential, business, commercial real estate. And that's right, whether it's home, business, or I should say home, residential, business, or commercial real estate, Saucer Realty and Capital. Larry Saucer has extensive knowledge and extensive experience in land appraisals too. And that's very important when you're buying real estate, you're selling real estate. You got to know what you have, what you're selling, and what you're buying. Go to our website, scroll all the way down to the North Florida 24/7 North Florida weather information. We update the weather every day for North Florida 24/7, 365 days a week. We update the weather at bigjreport.com. That is bigjreport.com. And click on to Saucer Realty and Capital, their website. It'll take you right to the website. There's a link right in the middle of our weather report, of our North Florida weather report on our homepage. Scroll all the way down to that at bigjreport.com. We've actually got the weather in two different areas now, but scroll down to the bigger weather a little bit further down on the homepage at bigjreport.com. We are going to do some spring cleaning. We're going to reduce some of the there's a lot of clutter on the website, but just keep scrolling down. You'll find the weather. You'll find the link for Saucer Realty and Capital. There's links for LakeUfallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Let me back up on Saucer Realty and Capital for a minute. Let me tell you, Larry Saucer knows North Florida. He does real estate deals in Jacksonville, Gainesville, Live Oak, Lake City, many areas in between, and even a little bit south of this North Florida line. Moving ahead to LakeUfallahits.com, great internet radio. They do have classic rock on Saturdays, rock Saturdays, hits 2000s Monday through Friday nights, recognizable hits during the daytime hours Monday through Friday. Late at night, LakeUfallahits.com has deep tracks, album cuts, unique songs late at night. LakeUfallahits.com, a absolutely legitimate, a legit sponsor of the Teal Shirt Report podcast and bigjreport.com. That's LakeUpalaHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. I talked to Mad Max with Mad Max's Wednesday night show. Internet radio, the Internet Radio Wednesday night music request show with Mad Max, 6 to 8 Central Time, 7 to 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Wednesday nights. I talked to Mad Max a couple of days back, and we talked about the Al Stewart show at the Ponte Vedra. What do they call that? The Ponte Vedra Concert Hall. That thing is come and gone. It was last night, back on February 27th. Today's February 28th on our podcast. Check out Mad Max's show, man. He plays classic rock request from days gone by. Great pop music classics too. Max kind of combines the classic rock with the pop music classics too. You're going to hear Gary Wright, Our Love Is Alive. You're going to hear Steely Dan, Leonard Skinner, so many other greats, Joe Jackson. The list goes on and on and on. Leonard Skinner, Steely Dan, probably the Allman Brothers. He'll slide your favorite songs in there. Atlanta Rhythm Section, and many, many others. Max has played a lot of requests for me personally, too. Go to the show Wednesday night. Wednesday nights with Mad Max. The madmaxmix.weebly.com. We have links. We do have links to the show. On our Neighbors 2 page, along with the concert listing, we've got a link for Mad Max's Wednesday night music, internet radio, Wednesday night music request show. Mad Max Mix is only Mad Max can do it, a special mix of music. It's called the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com. More of the Teal Shirt Report podcast coming up. We got to try to keep this thing under 30 minutes. North Florida Entertainment coming up, other area sports, and so much more. The thing about keeping the show under 30 minutes now is we can do more episodes. We'll get more content and product out there all the time. Again, we want to thank all of our sponsors for this. Salsa Realty and Capital in North Florida for your real estate needs at Salsa Realty and Capital. Elegant Time Travel with D.D. McDermott. LakeUpalaHits.com. Great internet radio. The Mad Max Mix. And XFL. XFL season is now through 2 weeks. You got 3 undefeated teams left. The St. Louis Battlehawks are 2-0. The Houston Roughnecks, who are probably the best team in the league, are 2-0. Who did I say? Houston Roughnecks are 2-0. St. Louis Battlehawks are 2-0. And let's see, the other team, we got the Houston Roughnecks 2-0, St. Louis Battlehawks 2-0, and the DC Defenders are 2-0. If you want to know anything at all about the XFL, go to our xfltoday.net website, xfltoday.net. More of the Teal Shirt Report coming up. More of our Teal Shirt Report podcast coming up. North Florida Entertainment, and other area sports. Stick around. Hey, we'll be right back. Thank you for listening. Hey, you're tuned in to episode show number 19 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Well, I don't really get into politics too often on this show. Man, this show would be 4 hours long, wouldn't it, if we did politics along with the sports and all the other stuff we do on the Teal Shirt Report podcast, the Jaguars, North Florida Entertainment, other area sports as well. The Fox and Friends morning show actually was at Ponte Vedra on February the 28th, Tuesday morning, February the 28th, an appearance by Leonard Skinner singer Johnny Van Zant. Johnny Van Zant made an appearance on the show. Also, Jacksonville, Florida Sheriff TK Waters. I saw just a little bit of that. Man, it made me proud, man. They made Jacksonville, Florida look good on the Fox and Friends morning show. Jacksonville, Florida, Ponte Vedra was at the Metro Diner in Ponte Vedra on Tuesday morning, February the 28th. Other things going on, spring training baseball underway. I saw Chipper Jones made an appearance at the Atlanta Braves spring training facility in uniform. Man, he's helping the guys out. Good to see that. Chipper Jones, I've been a long-time Atlanta Braves fan. Spring training baseball is absolutely underway now. We will take a look at North Florida entertainment as we kind of wind down. We're trying to stay within the 30-minute parameter here, but we ended up talking about more stuff than I thought we would, so we never make it, do we? Okay, let's take a look at real quick here. The shows. The Al Stewart show is in the books. Al Stewart was at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall on February the 27th. That would have been Monday night. We're recording this now on Tuesday, February the 28th. We can take a look at some concerts coming up. Let's see. Al Stewart from Year the Cat Fame was in concert at the Ponte Vedra, Florida Concert Hall this past Monday back on February the 27th of 2023. Joan Jett appearing on Friday night, March the 3rd of 2023, 8 o'clock p.m. at the historic Florida Theater in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. Plus, don't forget the Mad Max Mix Internet Radio Wednesday night music request show from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That's 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time, and can be accessed at www.madmaxmix.weebly.com. I'm looking at the link on our website at bigjreport.com right now in the Neighbors 2 section. There's also a link in the Outside the Box section on our website at bigjreport.com. Here's an interesting one I came across. Well, wait a second now. The Journey and Toto show is in the books. It was held on February the 26th, so that one has concluded at the arena, the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida. So Toto and Journey, if you saw that show, I didn't see it, but if you saw that show and you want to give me your opinion on the show, you can always email me, scott@bigjreport.com, scott@bigjreport.com. Kenny Loggins will be at the Florida Theater in Jacksonville, Florida on Sunday, March the 12th of 2023 at 7 o'clock p.m. Here's another big one. The Eagles and the Hotel California Tour will come to Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday night, March the 25th of 2023 at 8 o'clock p.m. at the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. Here's another good one, Natalie Merchant, on Friday night, April the 28th of 2023 in St. Augustine, Florida, at the St. Augustine, Florida Amphitheater. Expect a good show in that one, Natalie Merchant, on Friday night, April the 28th at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. And real quickly, East Coast Hockey League action, the standings. The Icemen still in first place. They're coming off a big win over the Worcester Railers 4-1 a few nights ago. Let's take a look at the standings right now, how it looks in the East Coast Hockey League Southern Division. We really only have time to give you where Jacksonville is. They got 70 total points in the standings. The Jacksonville Icemen with 34 wins, 16 losses, and only 2 overtime losses, and 70 points. They lead the Florida Everblades. Florida has 67 points. The Florida Everblades with 67 points, but the Jacksonville Icemen with 70. South Carolina Stingrays with 65. The Greenville Swamp Rabbits with 65 points, tied for third and fourth place with South Carolina. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Not sure we made it under 30, but we were close. Thank you for listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 19, eloquently produced by our producers, Alex Nunry and our executive producer, JC. Have a great day. My name is Scott. I am your host for the Teal Shirt Report podcast, and hey, I'm out. We'll have another episode real soon. Come back and talk to us and listen to us again. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast and the Teal Shirt Report podcast network. Thank you for listening. You know, man.